resource will help introduce you to the Common Core. First, we're going to look at what is the Common Core. Then we'll break down the ELA Common Core standards. We'll discuss how you can best support your child as they learn in the era of the Common Core. And finally, we'll discuss resources to help your child learn. The Common Core state standards are the set of things that our students need to know and be able to do each year from kindergarten to 12th grade. They're meant to be like a staircase that takes our children to college and career readiness when they graduate from high school. With English Language Arts, the new standards represent a shift from simply recalling details in text to making deeper inferences and connections. The English Language Arts standards are broken down into 4 strands for middle school: reading, writing, language, and speaking and listening. Reading is broken down into reading literature, which is reading stories or narratives, and reading informational text, which is something we spend a lot more time on in middle school, which is a big transition from elementary school. Informational text refers to nonfiction texts, which are often in the form of articles. The writing strand is broken up into narrative, informational, and argumentative writing. In the case of informational and argumentative writing, our students always need to support their ideas with evidence from the text they have read. The language standards are the ones that relate to vocabulary and grammar, which you probably remember from when you were in school. Finally, the speaking and listening standards demonstrate that part of being a successful adult is being a successful communicator, so we also teach our students how to communicate effectively and listen to others respectfully. So how can you support your learner with the Common Core? One thing that you can always do as a parent is check in with them about their homework. Your students receive ELA homework almost every night, so just checking in to make sure that they're completing all work on time will help support their skills development from class. In addition, you should always have your child read at home. They should be reading both stories or narratives, which usually come out of books or in audiobooks, and they should also be reading informational texts or articles, which may come from the internet, a magazine, or a newspaper. One way to help make sure that your child is actually learning from what they're reading is to ask them questions about their reading. I'll give you a couple of examples of types of questions that you can ask them in just a moment. In addition, make sure your students are reading something that challenges them. Often our students like to read books that are really below their reading level because it's easier for them and they're more comfortable with them, but the only way that your student can grow as a reader is if they read more challenging texts. Finally, ask your child's teacher to share what their reading level is. We spend time in school doing sustained silent reading at their level to make sure that our students have the opportunity to really push themselves, but your support at home can always help. So if you are going to ask your student about fiction that they're reading, so a book or a story, here are a number of questions that you can ask. You'll see they're split up by category, and all of these questions force your student to think about what it is that they're reading and to be able to explain their thoughts to you as a parent. On the other hand, if your student is reading a nonfiction text, so an article from a newspaper or a magazine, something like that, here are some questions that you might want to ask. Most of these questions involve questions about what they're learning from the topic, how the author wrote the article, and about what kinds of research the author would have had to do in order to write the book. Finally, I want to share with you a couple of resources that can help your student be successful in the era of the Common Core. First is the Brooklyn Public Library website. Here you'll see I have it open to the Bushwick branch, which is on Bushwick Avenue, but the Brooklyn Public Library website can also be useful because it allows people with library cards to use a variety of online resources. Please make sure that your student has a library card that they can use. Then they have access to all of these resources. Second is the Learning Network from the New York Times. This website has articles and activities that adolescents would find interesting. Occasionally, they also have resources that are specifically aligned with the Common Core, with lesson plans, polls, etc. Next is Engage New York. This is a website from New York State, which has a library of resources for parents about the Common Core. On this website, you can search resources by grade level, so we could look at specifically 6th grade resources, and you even have access to questions that have come directly from past year's state tests. Freerice.com is a fun website because it has fun trivia games around topics such as vocabulary. For each question a student gets right, The website donates rice to people in need. DoGo News is another resource for articles for teenagers. This has specific ones that teens might be interested in. Finally, News ELA is similar in that it also has a source for news for teenagers, but this one allows you to find articles based on both the number grade and also Lexile, which your students should be starting to be more familiar with.